Hi everyone, it's Dan here from Flexibility Research and from the Flexibility Focus podcast. I'm very excited to be able to bring you an exclusive interview with former undefeated world kickboxing champion, martial arts legend, author, movie star, and all-around nice guy Bill Superfoot Wallace. It is truly an honor and a privilege for me to be able to bring you this interview because for me, and like many other people around the world, Bill was the reason I first got into martial arts at a very young age, more than 3 decades ago now. Bill has been the single biggest influence on my life and my career, and our lives have paralleled in many ways. We both joined the military at a young age. Bill enlisted in the Air Force at 17 and I enlisted in the Army at 18. We both studied karate and we both became full contact fighting world champions in our respective weight classes. We both studied kinesiology, or the science of human movement, to master's degree level. And we've both had our hips replaced, both of our hips. Bill more times than me, so he's winning that race for now, but at least I'm winning in the hair department. Contrary to popular belief, neither Bill nor I had our hips replaced because of our stretching or our martial arts training. Our hip replacements were caused by external forces and external factors beyond our control, and this is something that Bill and I discuss in this interview, as well as a bunch of other stuff. And even though I've trained with Bill more times than I can remember, I always learn something new from him. So I'm sure that you will learn something from this interview too. Again, my love and thanks go to Bill for giving his time to answer my questions, and also to his lovely wife Jane, who assisted with the technology side of things. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section, or get in touch with Bill at superfootsystems.com, or contact me at info@flexibilityresearch.com. I hope you find this interview informative and entertaining. Enjoy.
There you go.
Hi.
Hello, how are you?
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much for joining.
No problem.
Oh, honestly, it's an absolute pleasure and an honor to have you on this podcast.
Thank you. Are you guys over in England doing okay?
Yeah, we're not doing too bad. We're coming out of the lockdown, thankfully. How are things over there?
Well, we live in Palm Beach County, which is the highest coronavirus thing in all of the whole state.
Wow.
The only one that's more than us is New York.
Yeah. How are you and Jane doing? Are you guys okay?
Doing great. She's here with me right now, so she made sure everything's okay because I am computer illiterate.
Oh, and before we start again, I just want to give you my condolences about Skipper. He was a great guy.
The thing about Skipper was, pardon my expression, the cat's ass.
Yeah.
Back in the middle to late 60s and early 70s. I mean, people keep talking about how much of a kicker I was, right?
Yeah.
He was just absolutely phenomenal. Just, what I did with my left leg, he did with his right.
Yeah.
And he had some knockdown drag hours with Chuck Norris, Joe Louis, all those guys. And he just a phenomenal fighter, phenomenal friend, great guy. Jane and I loved him to pieces.
Yeah. I guess my first question is, obviously you are very famous within martial arts, but there are a few there's a few people who are listening might not be familiar with the martial arts. So for the listeners who may not be familiar with you, can you just give a bit of a background into how you first got into karate?
Well, I was a wrestler in high school and college.
Yeah.
And right out of high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So a good friend of mine named Chip Molman said, hey, let's join the service, because he wanted to fly airplanes. We didn't know you had to be an officer. But anyway, and I said, okay, no problem. And with my father's permission, he signed a waiver because I was only 17.
Yeah.
And I got to join the service.
Yeah.
So we joined the United States Air Force. Mm-hmm. And I go all through basic training. We go through all through basic training, everything. And when I get to my permanent station, because I don't drink or anything, I wanted to find something to do rather than just sit around in the barracks all day long. So I went over to the gymnasium, and I said, do they have a wrestling team here? He said, well, I don't know what they're doing, but there's a bunch of guys rolling around all over a mat in the back. So I went in the back, and these guys wearing white coats, white pants, were throwing each other all over the place. And I said, excuse me, is this part of a wrestling thing? He says, no. There's some guy comes out and says, no, you wrestle? I said, well, yes, sir. And he says, well, I'll wrestle with you. So we wrestled back and forth. The guy, his name was Sergeant Horton, Ezra Horton. Anyway, I took him down a couple times, put him on his back a couple times. And he said, that's pretty good. I said, well, thank you, sir. And he says, now put this little white coat on.
Yeah.
So I put this little white coat on. I says, now let's do it again. He threw me. I bounced off walls. It seemed like I bounced off the ceiling, bounced off the floor a whole bunch of times.
Yeah.
I said, wow, what is this stuff called? He says, it's called judo.
Yeah.
And I went, wow, this is fun. And for those people that are watching that have an idea, judo is to wrestling as boxing is to karate.
Yeah.
So the analogy is right there.
Yeah.
So I started playing judo and made black belt my last year in the service, and represented 2nd Air Force in team competition throughout my career.
Oh, yeah. Oh, brilliant.
And then I got injured my last year in the service. I tore my right knee up playing judo, practicing, and had a cast on from my ankle all the way up to my crotch.
Yeah.
And the guy says, hey, there's a karate school downtown. Let's go check it out. So we go downtown, and I was sitting on this bench watching people do karate. And the guy says, oh, you want to do karate? I said, what? He says, you want to do karate? And I said, sure, why not? He says, you stand up. I said, I got a cast. I can't stand up. He said, no problem. You stand up. So I stood up. He says, we do yokogiri. I said,
yeah.
What the hell is a yokogiri? He says, side to kick it. It's called a side to kick it. So he showed me how to do the side kick. So he says, you practice. I said, I can't step. He says, no problem. Bringing me up, throw a side kick.
Yeah.
So I did about 50,000 of those that night.
Yeah, wow.
Left, went back to the barracks. Next week I come back. He says, oh, you're back very, very good. Now we do Mawashigiri. I just got yokogiri down. What the hell is a Mawashigiri? He said, roundhouse kick it. Roundhouse kick it. So he showed me how to do the roundhouse kick. And this took a couple of months. Finally, I get my leg out of a cast. They put a brace on the leg.
Yeah.
And I come back to start taking lessons and start doing the basics and the blocks and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden he says, no, we do kumite. What's kumite? He says, we fight. I said, hold it. We're doing these punches, and all the time we're doing these punches, you're saying, if need be, you could kill somebody with this punch or this block, or you could break an arm with the blocks.
Yeah. Because
it's shorter, that's what they were designed to do.
Yeah.
He said, yes. I says, now we're going to fight, and we're going to try to kill each other? No. We practice something called kimi. Another word. What is kimi? He said, focus. We control, practice control. I said, oh, okay. So we practiced the control, did it 1-step sparring, 2-step sparring, 3-step sparring.
Yeah.
And then we sparred with, Juji Kumite, it's called free sparring.
Yeah.
And that's where the hook kick came from, because I was sparring with one of the instructors, and he comes in, and I throw the side kick, and he blocks it. So I step down, he comes back in again, and I threw the hook and caught him in the chest with the heel.
Yeah.
He drops, and I go, oh, shit, because you don't drop your instructors, right?
Yeah.
I'm right there, yes, sir. And he said, well, what'd you do? I said, what'd you do? What's that you do? I said, well, I threw the side kick, and you changed, so I just brought around and threw the heel. He says, Uramawashigiri, hook kicker, Uramawashigiri. So there's where the 3 kicks came from: the side kick, the roundhouse kick, and the hook kick.
Yeah, absolutely. And they were obviously your bread and butter during your career.
Yes, sir. Yeah, no, Okinawa.
Oh, yeah. So
I'm sorry. Sound like you said Korea.
Oh no. In your fighting career, yeah.
I did throw 2 spinning back kicks.
I remember. I think one was in the Biggs fight, the retirement fight. I remember that one.
Yep. So I threw 2, and I'm 2 for 2. So every time I throw a spinning back kick, I said, "Look out! I'm going to throw it. So might as well put your hands up and do this, because I'm going to hit you."
Yeah.
2 for 2.
Oh, fantastic. So I've obviously been to a lot of your seminars, and I think anyone who goes to your seminars can tell that you have a fantastic knowledge of the human body and physiology. Can you just tell the audience a bit about your education and where you went to college and what you studied?
Well, my father was a school teacher and a principal in a high school.
Yeah.
And when I got out of the service, he wanted me to go back to college. So I said, okay. So I went to a university in Muncie, Indiana, called Ball State University.
Yeah.
And going there, I was going to major in physical education because I wanted to teach physical education. I was a wrestler, played golf, played played football, played basketball. Too short to play basketball, but played a lot of sports.
Yeah.
So I wanted to learn how to teach them effectively so people could have a good time. And while I was there, I started learning about anatomy
Mm-hmm.
and physiology.
Yeah.
Physiology of exercise, which is called kinesiology.
Yes.
And I've always wanted to find out, how come you're faster than me,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm quicker than you, or we're the same size, same body weight, but how come I'm stronger than you are?
Yeah.
So we go into these kinesiological movements, kinesiological facts, the origin, the insertion of the muscle groups, what muscle does what, why it does it, the hinges, how the hinges work,
Mm-hmm.
the ligaments, the tendons, how they're attached, finding out how a muscle always pulls, it never pushes.
Mm-hmm.
So a muscle is strong when it contracts. When it relaxes, the other one works the opposite, which extends it. So you have an agonistic movement, which does the work.
Yes.
Then you have an antagonistic movement, which kind of fights against that work or does the opposite action.
Yeah.
It's a blast, understanding why and the wherefores and how comes.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's actually what inspired me to study kinesiology at college as well, at university, because one of the earliest books I ever had was Dynamic Stretching and Kicking.
Oh, good. Well, thank you.
No, honestly, it kind of changed my life. And I remember reading the beginning where you talk about the anatomy, physiology, and kinesiology of flexibility. And I always remember thinking, what's that K word? I don't know what that is. And so when it came to choosing the programs at university that I wanted to study, I'm like, oh, that's that K word. Let's go and see what that is. And it's put me on the path that I'm on today. So, thank you for that.
Congratulations, Daniel.
Thank you. And obviously, talking about flexibility, you're world famous for your flexibility. When you first started stretching, how long did it take you to first do the splits?
Well, when I first started, I've had several friends that I've had that when I was starting competition, I couldn't do the splits. I could get about, maybe 120, 130 degrees down. But I couldn't do the splits. But I was fast and I was flexible because of my wrestling ability.
Yeah.
I was a leg wrestler. I was a scissor man, you might say.
Yeah.
So I had the flexibility to kick to the head, but not like I have now.
Yeah.
So I have friends, Skipper Mullins, like I said, that would just stick his leg straight up there. Wallace, who we used to compete against, who was a light heavyweight champion, fought Jeff Smith a couple of times. He would walk in, he says, "Can you do this, Bill?" And he'd stand in a doorway and stick his leg straight up to the top of the door. I said, yeah. No, I can't. I gotta reach you, man. And then other friends, John Chung, all these guys that were great forms could just drop in the splits. I said, I'm going to do that. And I said, I'm going to do it in 6 months.
Yeah.
Well, it took a little bit longer than 6 months because even though I have a degree in kinesiology and physiology, I would push it as hard as I could because I don't have any patience at all.
Yeah.
And I'm pushing as hard as I can. It doesn't hurt that much. It doesn't hurt that much. Well, it did.
Yeah.
And it got so bad at the time that I had to warm up just to be able to warm up.
Right.
Because you hurt yourself. So luckily I never pulled or tore anything. So that's the good thing. But I found out in my time training and so forth, you have to just let it happen. Don't make it happen. Mm-hmm. Just let it happen. It's soft tissue. All the muscular work, the ligaments, the tendons, and so forth is soft tissue. Yeah. So why not treat it as soft tissue? Let it learn to relax. Let the muscles learn to relax and teach it to relax.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah. And I think that's one of the key lessons that people learn in your seminars is to let things happen in their own time. But I know that something else you became famous for was the 3 T's of flexibility and stretching. Would you be able just to explain a bit about the 3 T's of flexibility?
The 3 T's, very simply, are temperature.
Yeah.
Get the muscle warmed up so it becomes pliable.
Yeah.
Tension. Put some tension on the muscle so the muscle gets fatigued. When the muscle gets fatigued, it has to relax ever so much, right?
Yeah.
And the third one is time. Hold it there for a length of time so the muscle does get tired, relaxes, and learns to say, hey, this doesn't hurt that bad in this position. So why contract? What does the muscle do to protect itself? Contract.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't hurt, there's no need for it to contract.
Yeah. That's brilliant.
Temperature, tension, and time.
Fantastic. Thank you. You've had a couple of surgeries over the years. And
Oh,
a few. And each time you've regained your flexibility, and just the other night you were doing an online seminar where you were in the full splits. How long after each surgery did you find it took to rebuild your flexibility?
well, understand this. People that are watching that needs the surgeries, that want to have the surgeries, but don't have the surgeries because of somebody said, well, you'll never be able to do martial arts again. Luckily for me, my doctor told me the hip that we're going to put in is better than the one that we're going to take out.
Yeah.
So, and he said also, whatever happens, you're going to be able to do the same thing that you've done before, maybe even better, because this is not going to hurt.
Yeah.
You know, the joint itself, the acetabulum, the femur head fits in here like this.
Yeah.
So they put a new one in, a new complete hip, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now this is not going to hurt.
Yeah.
There's nothing to really hurt in there.
Mm-hmm.
So now all I have to do is worry about the ligaments, the tendons, and the muscles themselves.
Yeah.
So slowly teaching that muscle to relax. I've had 4 hips done, both sides done twice, and my right knee done. I finally had to get it fixed after 38 years of wearing it out.
Yeah.
But you know, people have told me before. I had a friend that had the surgery in New York just 3 or 4 months ago,
Mm-hmm.
and he was told by his doctor, he says, give up the martial arts. You can't do it anymore. And I went, what?
Yeah.
They just took out your bad knee, and you were doing martial arts with the bad knee.
Yeah.
And they said, now you're going to put a new knee in, a new one, brand new one.
Yeah.
But you can't do anything with it.
Yeah.
Well, that to me seems absolutely stupid.
Yeah.
You know, what? Just walk around with a peg leg then.
Yeah.
He still worked. Yeah, he worked it. He had to, you know, a lot of it is the psychological part. Once the doctor says, well, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this, you give up. My doctor told me 3 things that I couldn't do. He says, don't bend more than 90 degrees, you know, bending forward more than 90 degrees. Don't cross your legs.
Yeah.
And don't point your toes out or don't point your toes in.
Yeah. And that seems to have been the key.
Dr. Weiner says, now that I've told you that, do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Well, see, understand this, the people that are watching. Most people that have the surgeries are older people.
Yeah.
They've worn them out through arthritis or some kind of an injury and so forth, right? So they're happy to be able to walk. So they're walking like this.
Yeah.
You know, not taking big steps, but taking little dinky steps. Happy to be able to get around.
Yeah.
So that's all they care about. The doctors don't realize that we as individual martial artists especially have good strength. We have good flexibility to a degree, and the muscles are still strong. The ligaments are still strong. The tendons, remember this, everybody, tendons hold muscle to bone. Ligaments hold bone to bone. The cartilage that's between the bones is basically like a little shock absorber, a little buffer thing. So as long as you have all that stuff, you've got movement. You've got, you know, that's what's screwing everybody up.
Yeah.
And luckily, I didn't care.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that is a key part of it, is stretching and is the psychology. And I think that's even for people who haven't had their hips replaced. A lot of it is the psychological barrier, and I think some people are just a little bit shy of hard work as well, maybe.
Well, yeah, you know what they'll do is they'll take it down. Let's say you put your feet shoulder width apart and you bend down and try to touch your toes.
Yeah.
Well, you can't touch your toes. You see everybody else in the class touching their toes, but you can't touch your toes. Now, everybody that are watching too, stand up. Okay, put your toes, you know, about shoulder width apart. Lock your legs out. Try to touch your toes. Try to touch your toes. See how far your fingertips are from your toes. Now, bend your knees a lot. Yeah. Put your fingers under your toes. So it's like this.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, straighten your legs out and bend the knees. Straighten your legs out and bend the knees. Pretty soon, you've got your knuckles on the floor. Now, it's a quick fix because it's going to tense back up, tighten back up. But just for a second, it shows you that, hey, you can become flexible. A lot of times, it's not just the hamstrings, it's the lower back. The lumbar area. So that way, you're teaching, again, You're just teaching the muscles to relax ever so slightly. Everybody, unless you have something genetically or hereditarily wrong with the hip joint itself,
Yeah.
you have the possibility, the ability to do the splits.
Yes, absolutely. And that's certainly something I learned from you, and I tell people as well. And I think that shocks a few people when they hear that.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, they see people like yourself and myself as well. I've had my hips replaced as well. And, you know, we're doing the splits. People are like, how is that possible? It's like, look, just try and have faith in your own.
The problem is people say, well, you had to have your hips done because of the flexibility, because you're stretching. That's not true.
Yes.
That's not true. The techniques themselves, we were never meant, this is the femur head.
Yeah.
Fitting your ass to tap. We were never meant for this to do this.
Yeah.
Never meant for that to happen. We were supposed to lift our leg just about as high as a dog lifts his leg when he pees, a male dog, when he pees on the side of a fire hydrant or something.
Yeah.
That's about the height of it. But because of the martial arts that we do, we have a kicking technique to the side.
Yeah.
So we want that flexibility. We have that flexibility. My wife just asked me a question, so I had to answer.
No problem.
So we have that flexibility just to go to the side. But then some other people have that flexibility to where they want to kick higher.
Yeah.
It's fun kicking people in the head.
Oh, it's so much fun.
So we work on that a little bit more. Now, it's not the flexibility because my doctor said it's not that. Dr. Weiner. He says what it is because when we throw kicks and we make contact, because that boom, that compression of the meniscus, the cartilage in the hip joint itself. Now, let's say we hit it like this and it bumps like that a little bit. Now, we cut a little piece off of this, chunk a little piece. Now, we still stretch, we still do the kicking. Now, that little piece wears off into a bigger piece.
Yeah.
And pretty soon, it becomes bone on bone.
Yeah.
That's when the replacement has to start.
Yes.
Or at least the revision, you might say, to where they smooth everything off.
Yeah.
But it's not really that. And sometimes we'll throw the kick and we'll hyperextend the joint. So it comes out and snaps back, goes out and comes back. So it's not just the flexibility. This is meant to happen. This is meant to do that. This isn't. This isn't.
Yeah. 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 So would you say that's one of the reasons why you tell people to snap their kicks rather than thrust them to save?
100%.
Yeah.
I kick with my left leg 100% of the time.
Yeah.
I've never, in my entire career, which spans 50 years, never had a problem with my kicking knee.
Yeah.
Because it's out and back.
Yeah.
The reason I had a problem with the leg, the hip, it was a movie injury that I had back in 1991 in Zimbabwe, Africa, that I damaged it doing a boxing scene.
Yeah.
So that's that problem. Otherwise, this would have never have happened.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. And I think that's one of the issues is people see somebody doing the splits who's had hip replacements and they say, oh, you have the hip replacements because of your stretching, but obviously you've just dispelled that myth.
There's tons of guys out there. John Chung, Jean Frenette, Wally Slokey, tons of guys that can right now at an old age drop right into the splits.
Yeah.
Have no problem with their legs at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And this is my final question. As you've gotten a little bit wiser and a little bit older, what have you found has been the biggest change to your stretching? Have you had to hold them a little bit longer or do it a little bit more often? What have you?
What I found out is, when people want to get flexible, let's take a normal 7-day week.
Yeah.
Monday, you've had a good weekend.
Yeah.
Stretch hard. Monday evening, you're in class or whatever that might be, you stretch nice and hard.
Yeah.
Push it. Now, Tuesday to Wednesday, just stretch easy.
Yeah.
To where it learns to relax a little bit. Thursday, you've had 2 days kind of rest. Push it again.
Yeah.
Friday and Saturday, take it easy. If you have a tournament Saturday, just stretch out nice and easy. Sunday, take off completely.
Yeah.
Now the muscles can heal. They can say, hey, this is kind of relaxing now. This feels good.
Yeah.
The problem that we have is we become impatient.
Yes.
We'll take it out so far and we'll say, hey, this doesn't hurt that bad. So I'll take it a little bit further.
Yeah.
Well, I can put up with this. You're sweating, you're screaming, one of those things. I'll take it a little bit further. And then you tear something.
Yeah.
Or it's hard to tear it. It's real easy to pull something.
Yeah.
So you probably didn't tear it. You just probably pulled it, which takes a length of time to heal. Now you're starting all over.
Yeah.
Because now you're thinking, it hurts there, it hurts there. So, luckily for me, knock on wood,
yeah,
I've never pulled or stretched or torn anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
yeah. No, that's great advice. Well, that sums up the questions from my end, Bill. I think you've given some fantastic advice and information to the audience. And thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
The thing for everybody to understand is have fun doing it.
Yeah.
There's thousands and thousands of books out there on flexibility. I have 3 myself.
Yes.
Right? Most of the exercises are the same.
Yeah.
But you and I are built differently. We have different strengths. We have different weaknesses, different flexibilities to start with.
Yeah.
But most important of all, we're different right here psychologically.
Yeah.
So we're going to do the same exercise, but we're not going to do it the same way. Something will be different.
Yeah.
So you have dynamic stretching, which is movement.
Yes.
Ballistic stretching, which is bouncing.
Yeah.
Static stretching is what I do, just take it down and hold it.
Yeah.
You have PNF stretching, you have pulsating stimulation stretching. You have all kinds of different ideas on stretching because somebody came up with this and said, works great for me.
Yeah.
All I can do is show my students what works for me.
Yeah.
And that's what everybody should understand. Your instructor is going to show you what works for him. It's up to you as the student to take it, change it, modify it, play with it to where it works for you.
Yeah, that's brilliant advice. Thank you very much, Bill.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time and thanks for sharing your wisdom with the audience.
By the way, I've had some inquiries about doing a visual seminar, a virtual seminar in Europe. So we're thinking about doing one the second Sunday in June.
Right.
You guys are 5 hours later than we are, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
7 something your time.
Yeah.
So if anybody's interested, please get a hold of Dan or email me at bill@superfootsystem.com and let me know if you guys are interested because it's really just set up on Zoom. My wife is great. I'm a dummy. So, but we can set up a Zoom seminar, couple hour seminar, working on our flexibility, working on some strengthening, working on the kicking techniques. Understand this. I learned to box for 2 reasons. First reason was to keep you away from me so I could kick you. The second reason was to keep you away from me so I could kick you. Yeah. So that's what it's for. And some of those ideas. And so those are interested, please email Dan or email me.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear your input, please.
Brilliant. And I'll make sure that message gets out to the audience as well. I'll put it on all the social media platforms. Bill, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for your time and give my love to Jane.
I will do it. It's good to see you again, my friend.
You too. Take care, Bill. See you later. Bye-bye.
Thanks, buddy.
Bye-bye.